this presentation on how to spy a lie with you guys. And I just put my email down here in case you had any questions or maybe something to share that I didn't include in here, or just to say hi. Feel free to shoot me an email. All right, to start out, I have this quote from Galileo. And it says, "All truths are easy to understand once they are discovered. The point is to discover them." And obviously, I hope today to teach you how to discover these. So obviously, if you're taking this class, you are at least a little bit interested in law, whether you become an attorney of any kind, prosecutor, maybe a judge, or maybe you don't go into law, but one day you'll probably be called to serve on a jury. It is so important, and it's such a huge advantage to be able to tell when someone is lying. From all of our cases that we've studied and the cases to come, we all know that the truth is such a huge aspect of law. And as a lawyer, it will be your duty to uncover some facts and use them when building a case. All right, so the first step is going to be learning and becoming familiar with these nonverbal and verbal cues. You'll probably want to become pretty familiar with these so you can easily spot them in the moment. All right, let's start off with the nonverbal cues. So the first one we have is going to be moving anchor points. And what I mean by anchor points are any parts of the body that are grounding you. So feet are always going to be an anchor point, and they're also going to be the easiest to spot. Another example may be your back if you're sitting in a chair. And then another cue is going to be itching your face, your throat, your head. A lot of times when someone lies, immediately after or during, they're going to start itching their throat. Another big tell is if they're kind of failing to make eye contact. A lot of the time that means looking up and to the right. The right side of the brain is the creative side. So, if they're coming up with a lie in the moment, they're kind of be looking up there. Another big one is they're trying too hard to be natural or seem comfortable. This might mean fixing their hair, grooming themselves. They're trying to appear nonchalant, but it's actually pretty purposeful and forced. Okay, so some of the verbal cues, it includes convincing statements. That's kind of what I have in this bubble here. Like, I would never do that. I would have told someone, something like that. Maybe they're being a little bit too cooperative. They're a little bit too concerned. Those two tend to go together. Another big one might be over-explanation. An example of that could be you ask someone, "Oh, what do you do for work?" Instead of answering, "Oh, I'm an accountant," they might go into each little task that they do at work. Another big one is when people are uncomfortable, they have a tendency to want to fill the silence. So again, those two tend to go together. They don't want to sit in silence, so they're over-explaining. And then another big one is you always want to ask yourself, did you hear a yes, I did do that, or no, I didn't do that? So a lot of times they're going to replace the yes or no with that convincing statement. So instead of saying, no, I did not do that, they're going to say, oh, I would never do that. All right. So I have a little video here. Just one of my friends doing a little mock interrogation, and I'll play that here. What is your relationship with the Smiths?
I live in the house right next to them. We always have dinner together on Fridays, and I usually babysit Jenny whenever I'm free and Mr. and Mrs. Smith need a break. She always wanted to play trains or watch some princess movie. I always insisted that the Smiths didn't need to pay me, but they always gave me a little money.
All right there, that's a little bit of over-explanation. And where were you when Jenny was taken?
I was down at the convenience store grabbing some snacks a couple blocks over, and I was walking back when I saw police cars in the driveway. And I couldn't believe someone would want to hurt Jenny. If I had seen anything, I would have told the police right away. And I just can't believe this happened.
All right, so we got a lot in there. We have a lot of I would have said something, some convincing statements, a little bit of over explanation, some concern, and then a lot of touching her chair, moving her feet.
Is there any reason to think that you were involved in her kidnapping?
I would never do something like that. If I had known that anything would have happened, I would have told somebody. And I wouldn't do this. I love Jenny and her parents. This whole thing just makes me feel sick.
All right, so we got a lot of convincing statements, a lot of I would nevers, and then a lot of moving of, again, the feet.
Do you know someone that would want to hurt her?
I would have said something if I had any idea, and I wouldn't ignore something like that. And I can look at pictures if you want me to. I can do it right now. I just want to find her.
All right, we have some of the I could look at pictures right now, overly cooperative, and then again a lot of I would nevers. All right.
What is your
All right, so the second step is determining, okay, so is this person lying or are they just nervous? Obviously, when you're being questioned, I know I get nervous whether I'm telling the truth or not. That's natural. So how do you know that they're trying to deceive you or if maybe they're just nervous? So a lot of knowing that is going to be all in the timing. And the most important time is going to be those first 5 seconds after you ask a question. You're looking for 2 to 3 deceptive behaviors per answer, but one of them has to be in the first 5 seconds. So again, they might display some behaviors, but it has to be within the first 5 seconds. And then after those first 5 seconds, then they can display a couple more. So only at least one has to be in there. All right, I have another quote, this time from Philip Houston, saying strategic principle is that if you want to know if someone is lying, you need to ignore and thereby not process truthful behavior. So what that means is don't look for the truth. You're only looking for lies, because if you start to recognize those truthful statements, your brain is automatically going to convince itself, oh, maybe they're not lying. They didn't lie about that, so maybe they're not lying about this next answer, which you don't want to do. Only focus on the lies. Okay, so let's put that all together. All right, some key concepts. Again, ignore those couple truthful answers. You're only looking for the lie. And don't let yourself be convinced by those couple true answers. Another big one is these behaviors, they may begin before a question is over. So look for that too. Your brain, when you're asking someone a question, their brain moves faster than you can speak. So maybe when you're asking the question, that's when they're coming up with the lie. Maybe that's when they're looking to the right. Again, looking for 2 to 3 cues, but one of these 2 to 3 has to be in the first 5 seconds. And again, account for nerves. Some of these behaviors, maybe they're unintentional. You know, a lot of times I say, oh, I would never, but that doesn't always mean that I'm lying. Again, look for lies question by question, and then review them as a whole. You want to see, did they use these behaviors over and over? Are they connected anyway? All right, we have the same video, and now you can decide which answers are truthful or not.
What is your relationship with the Smiths?
I live in the house right next to them. We always have dinner together on Fridays, and I usually babysit Jenny whenever I'm free and Mr. and Mrs. Smith need a break. She always wanted to play trains or watch some princess movie. I always insisted that the Smiths didn't need to pay me, but they always gave me a little money.
And where were you when Jenny was taken?
I was down at the convenience store grabbing some snacks a couple blocks over, and I was walking back when I saw police cars in the driveway. And I couldn't believe someone would want to hurt Jenny. If I had seen anything, I would have told the police right away. And I just can't believe this happened.
Is there any reason to think that you were involved in her kidnapping?
I would never do something like that. If I had known that anything would have happened, I would have told somebody. And I wouldn't do this. I love Jenny and her parents. This whole thing just makes me feel sick.
Okay, so obviously this was a fake interrogation, a little bit dramatic, but if this had been real, she probably would have been lying. She was probably the one to do it. All right, now that you've learned a little bit about these skills, I put some links right here in case you wanted to do some more research of your own. These two are going to be videos. I highly recommend this one. It's pretty cool. And then down here is going to be a book. I'm sure you can easily find it on Amazon. All right, thank you guys for watching. I hope you found it interesting and learned a little bit.